Well, folks, we got an old classic. Yay! We got creepy and scary TikToks that will change your reality. Are they really gonna change your reality, though? We're gonna get into it. We got conspiracies, we got UFO stuff, we got alien stuff, Bigfoot stuff, and the crap that's happening in the real world. Like if you like it, and you wanna see more. Dislike if you dislike this video. Alright, let's roll it.
This is a U.S. document from July 8th, 1947, and it's wild. But this memorandum acknowledges the existence of alien presence. So, quote, this memorandum is respectfully addressed to certain scientists of distinction to important aeronautical and military authorities. The present writer has several university degrees and was formerly a university department head. Very serious situation may develop at any time with regard to the, quote, flying saucers. If one of these should be attacked, the attacking plane will almost certainly be destroyed. In the public mind, this might create near panic and international suspicion. Their mission is peaceful. The visitors contemplate settling on this plane.
Not welcome, but glad you're peaceful.
Visitors are human-like, but much larger in size.
Okay, here's the question, right? Like, if they were to come here, some believe they're already here, some believe that we're alone. Okay, fair. But let's just say tomorrow they come out and they're like, we want to settle on your planet. What would your response be? What would be our leaders' response be? What would the government response be? Like, okay, yeah, fair, you can stay here, or nah, you're not welcome here. Where are you guys at with it?
Okay.
Giants.
If we're talking about fallen angels, they do not embody Earth people, but come from their own world. They do not come from any, quote, planet, as we use this word, etheric planet, which interpenetrates with our own and is not perceptible to us.
They're considering settling on this plane, not this planet. It's starting to seem like these are interdimensional beings, potentially fallen angels or demons of some sort with advanced technology. That's what it's starting to have the appearance of. Of course, we won't know until someone actually comes out and says this is what's going on with some sort of authority.
There are more mummies found in America in this time frame by a gigantic margin than there are in Europe or Egypt. In fact, the Smithsonian was caught stealing mummies from Colorado and shipping them to Europe. And the deeper you go, the crazier the things they find. 17 miles northeast of Manchester is a prehistoric cavern in which wonderful discoveries have lately been made. They're on a farmer's land in Ohio. The ground shapes downward into this weird depression in his land. What they find when they remove the rocks covering the bottom of this depression is a tunnel into a underground tomb. It contains 9 chambers or rooms. They find a well in one of these chambers, and 45 feet from the top of that well, they found the entrance to a second cavern, which proved to be the family tomb of a race of gigantic men.
Yeah, it's insane. Even a single human statue, if you asked anybody on the street, has it ever been found in America, they'd probably say no.
So I'm completely convinced that we've got things that are being hidden from us that were discovered here in America. I think that there's evidence of giants existing. I think there's evidence of an advanced civilization.
There is, because like there are footprints, there are a bunch of other stuff as well. But and like how many videos we've seen on the mountain, right? Like somebody standing on the mountain looks like an absolute giant, looks bigger than a Bigfoot. Let's be real. There's so much of that mystery, but it's like nobody ever finds out. Nobody can ever get to the bottom of it, it seems.
That predates the existence of the Native Americans that lived here. It's frustrating watching these short clips like this. These guys very well may have had tons of evidence, but without me being able to watch the entire thing, it seems like they're just making stuff up. I'm not.
There is evidence, like the footprints, and those are the only evidence that feels like really I guess convincing. But at the end of the day, it's like, is it even real though? Was it made by a human? When I say like big footprints, okay, really big footprints, which you cannot mistake off. You cannot mistake that for like a human footprint. We've done videos in the past on the channel, so yeah, absolutely. But still though, can that be made by a human? I don't know about that one.
Claiming that's what they're doing, I'm just making an observation. It's difficult to know how much weight to put into some of these things that you hear in some of these clips because they're so short and they leave out so much context. Hey, if you're enjoying this video and you like this kind of content, I make a new one just like it every other day. It'd be awesome.
For research in a
like and subscribe, guys. Like and subscribe.
national park. Noticed a couple park rangers following me around, which isn't that unusual. And they said they knew of me, and they had been looking into missing people at the various parks that they had worked at.
Okay.
And they realized that on the front end, when somebody goes missing, there's a lot of activity, there's a lot of
411?
investigation, and then after about 7 or 8 days, everything stops. And when they tried to find out what happened to the victim and get more information, they were stymied, and they said something didn't feel right.
Yeah.
And in those 9 countries, we have one case that goes all the way back to 1768 in France.
Huh. If you had to guess, though, speculate on how many total people we're talking about.
So we've documented right now in our books about 1,100.
1,100 people.
We could have gone many gamuts with this. We could have done it about hunters, hikers, adults, females. We chose to do children for one reason. If I sit down with you
Thank you for subscribing, Francis. Welcome.
and I said, well, person disappeared at point A and he was found 5 miles away and 2,000 feet uphill. Well, somebody like you and I, not a big deal. But a 2-year-old child, the canines can't bring up a scent. All of a sudden, the weather changes.
Missing
They bring
411, right?
professional trackers. None of these people can find a little child.
child.
But I thought someone in this world would come in and say, this is the answer.
Is there anything in your research, David, that showed you about folklore?
In one of the books I wrote about Iceland, and they have folklore of people or fairies living in boulders. And you know, in Iceland, they won't move a boulder to make a road. They'll put the road around the boulder.
They don't want to
Around the
disturb their habitat.
That's right. I talk about granite. Well, there's a giant mound of granite in Texas.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a story from the late 1800s about a priest being chased. And the priest said that he ran on top of this giant piece of solid and it engulfed him and took him. And he said he walked around inside this for days and then it spit him out.
Holy, whoa.
But
Yeah,
one
whoa,
thing that
indeed.
people do say is that in conjunction with these disappearances, immediately
UFO?
after or right after, part of that profile is that there's bad weather associated with this.
Holy.
Meaning, in many of these cases,
I think he's talking about like a different stuff or maybe the same because I know missing 411 is also kind of linked with aliens, UFOs, abductions, and all that crazy conspiracies as well. A lot of people do go missing in the national forests, and there have been not just one but like multiple encounters. Some are found, but and he was talking about a kid, right, a child, and I heard the similar story. Not sure if he was talking about the same story that I heard, but it's like a child went missing and then they find the child somewhere completely just miles and miles away, and it's a child. He there is no scenario in no world he could be able to walk and go to that place. I heard that story and it kind of blew my mind, and it's like there are a lot of stories, but a lot of people that go missing, they never are found after that.
cases, sometimes it rains inches and inches or snows feet and feet in days right afterwards.
Kind of wipes out the scene, doesn't it?
It does.
Yeah.
The other one that, you know, a lot of people may think is true is that there's a group of serial killers out there in the woods.
Correct.
Could be.
To me, that is the least likely of every scenario. Not that I'm categorizing anything, but the reason being is that in these searches, they bring in professional trackers. Part of that professional tracking ability is tracking somebody through the woods. And some of the people they use are Navajo trackers, military trackers, professional private trackers in conjunction with canines. Nothing. They don't find tracks leaving the scene. They don't find a sense.
They
Some
just
idea,
go missing,
or
right?
the idea that people promote that it's a serial killer in the woods. There's a lot of things that go with that. Mainly, if there was a serial killer in the woods, then they'd have to carry that body for miles.
When they track, do they get to a certain point and it just ends?
Sometimes it ends immediately, and sometimes they do get to that point and the scent just stops. A lot of times, some of the best canine trackers in the world have said that they'll bring the dog to the scene,
And
the
even the
dog
dog
will
would-
walk in a circle, lay down, and doesn't want to track.
What about
Yeah.
Bigfoot?
That's another scenario that's been brought up hundreds and hundreds of times, and the issue with that one is the same with the others in that there's no tracks.
Right.
No track.
What about
So no tracks, the dogs just cannot seem to follow, and nobody knows where the person went missing. Doesn't make sense either. And that's what happened with like a child as well, right? Child goes missing, parents are worried, they're searching, the rescue team cannot find it, and then miles and miles just somewhere else, completely on the other side, they find the child, and it's like then they're like, okay, how did that child go there? It's just impossible, completely impossible. There are so many cases like that, but in generally speaking, in most cases, missing 411, when somebody goes missing, they're not found after.
A portal, another dimension, some kind of, God knows what is going on in this planet, this universe, and that these people just accidentally walk right through it, and they're gone, and they can't get back.
In all of the scenarios, in what's been explained to me by other experts that have been on your show, to me, that one, if it exists, would be the one that fit every scenario that we've explained in the book. Not that I'm saying that is it. I'm just saying that the scenario the experts lay out seems to be the one that fits the most criteria.
It's insane. Like, we're really getting down to the crazy part, but what if it's not crazy? Or I mean, like, it is crazy, but what if that's like really, really true? Because some people would also bring up the fact that what if an animal attacked? Plausible, but then it's like no tracks, no scratch marks, or you know what I mean, right? Like, for example, if a bear walked in, like a tree might have been fallen down, there would be a lot of tracks, like you would see the chaos, but it's like they don't find anything related to that. So if you then come out and be like, well, somebody walked through a portal, sounds a lot more reasonable, but obviously it's not. It's like, it sounds science fiction, but this is where we're kind of headed right now, guys. Because recently, Project Coney, I believe it was called Project Kona, Blue Kona, I believe. I made a video on it, which I will link you as well in the pinned comment, because now they're talking about the UFOs and the aliens, and they're reverse engineering the crafts and all that. We did a video on it recently. I'll link you in the pinned comment, alright?
So that was David Paulides, and he runs the CanAm project, which has nothing to do with ATVs. It is a project that is investigating all of the disappearances in our national forests and compiling not only a list of these disappearances, but all the similarities between the disappearances. And they've come up with some very interesting anomalies, like they were discussing there with these strange weather patterns and stuff like that seems to just pop up out of nowhere and erase evidence. There's usually, where people disappear, there's usually an outcropping of boulders. He's got a YouTube channel where he goes over this stuff in depth, like individual cases in great depth. I found out about him by watching Mr. Ballen's videos. He covers a lot of the stories from the CanAm project. Yeah, the missing child story that I heard, I heard that from Mr. Ballen as well. Man, world is sometimes the world is a very small place. And in my opinion, does one of the best jobs possible of spreading awareness about it, just because he's such a good storyteller. But if you haven't looked into the CanAm project and you haven't heard of David Paulides, it's absolutely something I suggest everyone go check out. What's so fascinating about it is it has the appearance that there's some sort of extraterrestrial involvement or something. Yeah. Like these people will just disappear and abducted, then they'll reappear miles away with no memory of how they got to where they ended up. They'll be wearing sometimes different clothing. Parts of their clothing are missing and never recovered. It's just very, very strange. And the biggest one was like, I was talking about, it happened to a child, and it's like, you're not gonna be, with child, it doesn't even, I mean, even with like grown-ups, it doesn't make sense. And it's like, you try to ask them how they got there, they don't have any recollection, they don't have any memory circumstances, but it's probably some of the most fascinating stuff on YouTube.
Who shot the footage? He's walking out on the moon. One giant leap for mankind.
He had a TV camera.
Where?
It was in the, as he walked down the lamb, he pulled a handle that deployed what was called a MESA, the modular equipment assembly, modular equipment storage area, whatever it was. And in that was a camera. And so when that came down, they flipped it on, and the camera was pointed right at the landing. And so as he came down latter, this camera was taking his picture. Okay. It's a TV camera. It's grainy, but it was in that assembly. Right. And then once we got off, they took the camera and put it on a little tripod, if I remember. But
last thing, I remember very clearly, I think anybody who was alive at the time does, I remember my parents waking me up and we went down and we watched you guys land on the moon.
No, you didn't.
What?
Because there wasn't any television. There wasn't anybody taking a picture. You watched animation. So you associated what you saw with...
I have very hazy memories.
I know.
Well, no.
Yeah, this is controversial. Not necessarily controversial, but I wouldn't call it controversial. It is controversial, but I don't want to, because I want to let you speak your mind, right? Because some believe it, we went to the moons, others not. And that's perfectly fine. My mama don't believe it. My mama's like, nah, we never been. It's a conspiracy, never been. I was talking with her the other day and she brought it up and she's like, nah bro, never. I personally do believe that we've been to the moon, but the videos of it are fake. I think something happened and they don't want to show that, because when they come, yeah, they came back to the planet, or allegedly. Listen, I wasn't there, I could be wrong. I'm openly putting this out there. Like, if it turns out ever and we have like full-blown evidence that we never been there, never been to the moon, I would actually be like, yeah, I'm wrong. I'll take it on the chin, absolutely. But I do believe that we've been to the moon. Now, I'm not sure if we actually been to the moon in the 1969, right? Maybe not then, but later on, yeah, okay, fair. I believe that we've been there, but the videos were fake. That's basically where I'm at. What about you guys? Because when they came back to Earth, if you want to believe that, their faces were so off. It's like, you've been to the moon, man. Like, yeah, like, talk about it. Weren't you excited about it? Like, well, how did you feel? Like, what was happening? What was going on inside your head when you were thinking about putting your feet, and what happened when you put? I know nothing necessarily happened. It's like you put the foot down, but still, it's like a massive step for mankind, right? It's like crazy. You were the first guy to land. So their faces were completely off. And then there's a lot of other conspiracies where they saw UFOs, they saw aliens, and somebody there told them never come back. There are a whole lot of conspiracies about that. So you don't even know what's true anymore, man.
What we saw was we all were gathered around the old curved top radio and listened.
Talking about how many feet we were going to the left and right, and then I said, contact light, engine stop. And a few other things, and then Neil said, Houston, Tranquility Base, the Eagle has landed. Man, how about that?
That was very exciting.
Not a bad line.
That explanation doesn't even sound remotely plausible to me. The more we hear about the supposed moon landing and how all that stuff took place, the more outlandish it sounds, and the more it starts to look like NASA is just bold-faced lying to us. And yes, I know that I say NASA instead of NASA. It's just the way I pronounce it. It's my hick hillbilly accent. It's just always the way I've said it. But just want to say I appreciate all the people that make fun of me in the comments section over it.
That's fair. That's fair. I mean, nobody making fun. It's fine.
The fact that you're drinking a Celsius has been in my head for the past 3 days. Celsius has cyanocobalamin in it. Cyanocobalamin is another word for cyanide. It has the 4 times the daily limit a human body should absorb of cyanide. Cyanocobalamin is only sourced from human waste disposal treatments. It's the sludge from the top of the treatment center. We can't do anything with that. So they put it in your energy drinks. You're literally drinking human shit.
What?
If you watch this channel, you're already aware of this. I just find it hilarious.
Okay, we need sources. We need to double check that. Obviously, these are like conspiracy related. Don't believe everything you heard just for entertainment. But generally speaking, sodas are bad for you, right? A lot of sugar in it, a lot of bad stuff in it. Fast foods. Everybody knows it. Everybody knows it. Just if you drink a lot of sodas, try to cut it down. It's for your own benefit, but obviously you're a grown-up. I don't want to tell you what to do, but for me personally, I have quit a while ago. Now it's like if I ever go out with my friends, it's like once in a while, if you get a pizza outside with your homies, yeah, you get like a maybe Crush, maybe some Coke, right, and all that. Yeah, once in a while it's fine, but still, like,
hilarious, and want to keep bringing it up because so many people are unaware that they're pounding down these energy drinks full of poop. I just find that hilarious. It's absolutely disgusting that they allow stuff like that to go into anything that we're going to consume as a human being. But the whole FDA-approved label on products shouldn't...
That's insane.
...shouldn't sway you in your purchasing decisions anymore. Look at the crap they allow them to put into an energy drink.
I have to show you all this. So you know how Dubai basically drowned?
Honestly, yeah, I'm gonna try and look deep into it because that's insane. Like, if human waste is being in that, that's just like, holy crap. Like,
today, I was watching a video of a crazy stream from the flood, and I saw this. Oh, before we go any further, I'm not making any accusations or anything. I'm just telling you this coincidentally popped up next. This is what Dubai's been up to lately.
The UAE government invested more than $20 million in research to start a process called cloud seeding. The UAE 1,000 hours of cloud seeding a year, and it's all controlled by this building in the National Center of Meteorology.
Yeah, so I'm not like fully caught up on what happened in Dubai, but obviously made headlines. I'm aware of it. I know about it, but haven't seen many videos. Just saw one video with the flood and all that. That was trending. I never really bothered looking into it. But then it's like cloud seeding is a thing that it's not necessarily a conspiracy. It's like a real thing. So they are trying to control the weather, and there's conspiracy related with it that they actually did it themselves.
In Abu Dhabi, where they track the whole process. We met with a cloud seeding expert to explain how
or maybe gone wrong.
With the forecast, when we have good, chance for cloud, we send the aircraft to that location. Go under the cloud. In the first stage of the cloud, there is good updraft at that time. Start to release all the salt, and with the good updraft, of course, it will go inside the cloud. The droplets will become bigger.
Again, I'm not saying anything. I'm just saying I was watching a whole bunch of videos of the flood, and
yeah, this one I've seen
right after. And let me show you just how dark it really got in Dubai today.
So guys, this is 2:46 p.m. यानी कि दोपहर के 2:40 है इस वक्त.
Oh damn, brother speaking Urdu there, or Hindi. I do speak the Urdu, so he's basically telling the same thing but in different language. Mukammal taur pe, yeah. He's saying that it fully looks like nighttime.
It is incredible how things are looking like right now.
Yeah.
Ominous. This is this cloud system that is above us, and that's where the storm is.
Remember, 2:30 p.m. and look how dark it is out there. It's like pitch black. Almost. So yeah, bigger water droplets apparently. It seems like a supercharged storm. The locals of the area are obviously saying it's not normal. And this is probably fake, I'm not sure. But random Twitter users are saying that the streamer Neon, that he drowned in prison in Dubai. I don't know. But yeah,
okay, bro, nah.
Devilish.
Certainly looks like they were playing God with messing around with the weather and stuff, and it's not working out in their favor. I mean, this absolutely...
if this is like really true, I think it just went wrong, essentially. Or what if it didn't go wrong? What if it went according to their plans and they actually wanted this? What if that, you know what I'm saying?
It has the appearance that they were trying to do all this cloud seeding and stuff and try to give themselves a little bit more rain, and things spiraled out of control very quickly.
Maybe.
And now they've got this tsunami-like conditions. All this makes me think about is the current plan to put ice into the atmosphere to try to cool it. Y'all don't think that something like that could spiral out of control and go south really, really quick?
35-million-year-old lizards were found perfectly preserved in amber. This discovery was in Myanmar, and they found 12 lizards and a ton of insects in this amber. Despite what scientists previously thought about how lizards evolved, they found a lot of diversity in this 35-million-year-old tree sap.
Diversity?
And realized they were wrong. A lot of these fossils looked like they just died today, and they thought that these specific types of lizards only evolved millions of years later. But still, there they were, fossilized, perfectly preserved. Their scales were still on them. This is actually insane. There were many chameleons, and they had weak jaws, just like chameleons do now, which means that the tongue going forward and catching the prey like a little rubber band, that had already developed over 35 million years ago. They did not think that it had developed that long ago. They also found ants and centipedes along with the lizards, and they believe that the lizards were preying on these insects. 35 million years old. It's crazy. Makes you wonder what other things scientists have been wrong about. Follow for more tea.
Isn't this exactly how Jurassic Park started? They look like they were still alive whenever they were encased. The lizard's eyes are still open and everything. They look like they're in mid-stride, like they were walking, and all of a sudden got surrounded by this stuff. So if they're encased fast enough that all of their internal organs and everything are still intact, like are they perfectly preserved, or do they just look perfectly preserved on the outside? So I'm curious to see if they could bring these things back, because then they'd be able to study. If they could bring one back, they could study it and compare it to the current iteration and see if there are actually any differences between the two.
Tartaria was this empire, highly advanced. This empire existed in modern day Russia, but now like all like historians and stuff like, no, it didn't. Well, guess what? There's a document, Soviet Russia and the impacts of communism with the changing and racing of history. And they talk about Tartaria. It says, or let us take the matter of history, the core of a people's cultural heritage. The Central Committee of the Communist Party issued a directive ordering the parties to proceed to the scientific revision of the history of Tartaria. Tartar history was to be falsified in order to eliminate references of the real course of the Tartar-Russian relations.
What does that all mean?
So basically,
it existed.
That just made me freak out a little bit.
Yeah.
Because we talked about the Native Americans and like how developed they were and like how they're connected to people groups from all over the world. But the Smithsonian's like, no, we're going to write history like this.
Yeah.
They were isolated and dumb.
Yeah, it can't be vindicated because it didn't exist.
This is
it's like one of those things, right? Like Atlantis, where is Atlantis? Where is Atlantis? People are in search for Atlantis as well. And guys, this is the last episode that we've done. If you like it, check it out. On the left, this is about the Project Kona, that the recent news about UFOs, aliens, and the reverse engineering of the crafts as well. Check out both of these videos and I'll see you right there.